Hola, estudiantes de distance learning. Hoy tenemos 2 días, jueves y viernes, el 12 y 13 de noviembre. Let's start with jueves. So, el plan para hoy, we're going to watch and learn about the tomatina, take some notes on ser versus estar, and those are in your packet. And also for tonight, you're going to complete vhlcentral.com, 2 activities in there, and complete pages 36 and 38 in your workbook packet. So let's get started. Let's talk briefly about where we're at with our learning targets for this unit. So far, we've talked about classes and school life, also discussed everyday activities and AR verbs and how to conjugate them, as well as gustar. You just took a quiz on that. And also, we've learned how to ask and answer questions in Spanish. We'll do some more practice with that, and that's actually part of your homework for tonight. But the main focus today is to talk about the difference between ser y estar. Also, there's the geography and culture of Spain, and also recognizing and learning large numbers. So that's what we're talking about today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's notes, so Friday's notes, are going to be all about the location using estar. Okay, let's get started. So here's the tomatina. Tomatina is a celebration. It's a big, huge festival, a big tomato fight that originated in Buñol, Spain. And you can watch this video, which is amazingly messy. And also on the next couple slides, and we're actually going to go so you can kind of see it. You can follow that. There's some pictures too you can look at that are kind of crazy, and I'll let you do that too. So they say that tomatina started in 1945, that a bunch of young people were attending a festival in the town of Buñol, which is close to Valencia. They stormed a stage of musicians and began to dance and party with the musicians, but one of the musicians fell off of the stage and knocked over a market stall full of fruits and veggies into a disgruntled crowd of festival goers. What happened was then some people started to pick up the fruits and vegetables and start throwing them at each other, and it got kind of crazy. The following year, those who remembered the festival brought a bunch of tomatoes and decided to relive that. So they did that for a while until in the 1950s, a bunch of elders from the community decided to ban it because they thought that it was just inappropriate. So they say that in 1957, there was a tomato burial parade that was held in August as a sign of protest. Musicians played funeral tunes as they marched a coffin filled with the infamous fruit. It's not a vegetable, it's a fruit, the tomato. The people of the town were moved by the unity of the young people, and La Tomatina became an official festival. Now, there are many different stories about this, but that's just one of them. The festival can gain up to, it says in 2015, up to 45,000 people were present for it. So it is a huge celebration, but it was canceled last year because of COVID and will be, I'm sure, canceled this year as well. So La Tomatina takes place typically, though, the last miércoles, that's Wednesday, in agosto of each year. So you can click on this article. We'll show you a bunch more pictures of it. It's just absolutely crazy. So today we're going to take some notes, and you have a packet that looks like this. And we're taking notes on estar, okay? So here is today's notes, and then tomorrow we'll get to these. So Thursday and Friday, okay? So let's talk about estar. You previously learned that ser means to be, but estar also means to be, and although it ends in AR, it's irregular, so it doesn't follow the same pattern as regular AR verbs. So estar is the am is our verb, and the forms are as follows: estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, y están. Now notice the 4 bottom forms have accents, but the top 2 don't. So it's extremely irregular. Okay. All right. These are the forms of ser. We've already seen these to express I am, you are, he is, they, the im, as, are. But ser, they're 2 different verbs though. So yo soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. But now we have Some more rules, I guess, when we look at SARE and a star, they're very different. We're going to first talk about the rules of SARE. These rules are different from a star, so they follow kind of this acronym doctor. The first one is description. So you want to write this down in your notes. And of course, you can pause this as you go. So in the SARE column over here is where you want to record this stuff. So D stands for doctor, and that's description. And that's really talking about one's identity or physical description. So for example, soy Hector y soy alto means I am Hector and I'm tall. Then we have occupation. Pepe es doctor. Pepe is a doctor. So any type of occupation, you have an occupation, you're a professional student right now. So you would say, yo soy estudiante. Then we have C, that's characteristics, and we're talking about personality. Por ejemplo, mi mamá es cómica. My mom is funny. Then we've learned how to tell time. We always use ser with telling time. So to say it's 3 p.m., we would say son las 3 de la tarde. Again, we use ser to tell where people are from. So, tú eres de Peru. You're from Peru. And then finally, we use ser to talk about relationships. So, ella es mi hermana. She's my sister. Again, all of these rules use ser and not estar. We're going to talk about estar in a second. But there's one more thing I wanted to point out, and that's this. Remember that with the occupation, you do not need to use an indefinite article. So you don't have to say, Pepe es un doctor or yo soy un estudiante. You can get rid of that entirely, and that's just with occupations. So we would say Pepe es doctor instead of Pepe es un doctor. I know that sounds like a really weird rule, but it is. So those are the rules for a SARE. Now let's, by contrast, look at the rules for a STAR. We already got the forms, but let's start talking about, we're using a different type of mnemonic, and it's place. So we use this one. So place for a star. So the rules are, and let's move down here. Okay. Place, the first one is position. Mi mochila está encima de la mesa means my backpack is on top of the table. This encima de business, we're going to get those notes next, and so those are tomorrow's notes. So my backpack is on top of the table. Then we have location. Mi casa está en Albertville. My house is in Albertville. That's not going to really change. So it's a little bit different than position, because I think of like a buzzing bee. This position is always changing because it's very crazy, but location is where something is kind of permanently located. Then we have action. This is a verb tense that you don't need to worry about. It's the present progressive, ing, like running, smiling, snowing, whatever it is. But we always use a form of a star with that. And then this thing called the present progressive, or the gerund, will come after that. So, or present participle is another word for it. But the example is Pablo está corriendo. Pablo is running. Now, I'm not going to test you on this because we'll cover the present participles and all that stuff later on. Just know that it's a rule right now. Then we have C, the condition. So, la profesora está enferma. The teacher is sick. That's something that can change, okay? Or el café está caliente. The coffee is hot. Or frío está frío. It's cold. So the condition of something can change, like the weather, okay? Then we have emotions. Now, I know that for me, my emotions are up and down these days because of all this crazy learning style models that we're following. But know that emotions are something that can change. So, estoy feliz, that means I'm happy. We're going to learn a bunch of different emotions tomorrow. So, one thing that you can write down, you should write down your notes in the margin, is this. How you are and where you are, always use a star. I always think of a star as being the verb that is a little more temporary, whereas ser, with all of these characteristics, and identifying people and talking about people's personality, it's a little more permanent. Okay? All right. So the last thing you are going to, actually not last thing, but you're going to complete these are actually 2 activities, not 4, 2 activities. You just have these 2 activities. They are due tomorrow. One's just a tutorial, watching a tutorial on the present tense of a star, and then just selecting the correct forms of a star. And that's it for VHL Central. So not not 4 activities again, but only 2, okay? And now let's talk about viernes. We are on to viernes. Oh, also, back to Thursday, remember that your assignment was to complete 36 and 38, pages 36 and 38 in your workbook packet. So on 36, this is for Friday, it says, form sentences using the words provided. Use the correct present tense of or infinitive form of each verb. So you can use all the words in the sentence to form the sentence itself. So you might have to do some conjugating there. And don't forget about BOGO. Sometimes we need to conjugate the first verb and leave the second one in infinitive. And then down below, these are just yes or no questions. So you're going to answer, for example, it says, ¿Bailas el tango? Do you dance the tango? You either answer sí, bailo el tango, or no, no bailo el tango. So they're all asking you in the to form, you answer in the yo form. Then on page 38, la página 38, this is where you're going to make questions out of statements by inverting the word order. This time, you have a subject and then a verb. Now, to form a question, all you're going to do is switch your verb and your subject. So instead of saying, ustedes son de Puerto Rico, now we want to change that statement into a question. So just by saying instead of ustedes son, we say son ustedes de Puerto Rico. Now we switched it into a question just by flip-flopping or switching that son and ustedes, okay? And then, so you'll do that for each of those. If really you're just going to flip-flop the verb and the subject and then turn it into a question. That makes it kind of easier. Down below is tough. There's a word bank here, and they give you the answer, and you have to form questions from the words in the word bank. So, a dónde, cuáles, cuándo, cuántos, de dónde, etc., are in there, and you're going to have to form a question. So, for the first one, the answer is, ellos caminan a la biblioteca. We know that they're walking to the library. So you could ask, ¿a dónde caminan ellos? Where are they walking to, or to where are they walking? So you're going to use one of those for each of those. Just do the best you can with that, and then I will provide a key for you at some point too, okay? All right, so let's move on. So viernes, el 13 de noviembre. Okay, so that was plenty for Thursday. I would just, unless you have lots of extra time, I would just do Thursday's lesson plan on Thursday and Friday's lesson plan on Friday, because it's a lot of work, okay? So, viernes, el plan para hoy. Vamos a hablar de las materias. I have a little speaking activity for us to do today. Also, we're going to talk about big numbers. There's a video and some photos. The video is kind of funny. And then apuntes, you're going to take more notes on SER and STAR. And that's just more about, actually more about STAR today. And on page 11. And then, we already covered the tomatina, so we can skip that. And then we have some vocab with flashcards. Oh, we don't really have that, but that's okay. I'll make it sure that it's changed in our, just follow along with me, we're good. And then the homework is the STAR worksheet, and that is for Monday. So that's the biggest thing that you need to know, is that there's a worksheet due for Monday. Okay, let's go. So there's a little bit of speaking for you to do. And what we're doing, this is what we're doing actually in class, where one person is A and the other person is B, okay? So I'll play the part of A, and I want you to pause and think about what you'd answer for B. So the first question is asking, ¿cuántas materias tomas? That means, how many classes are you taking? So you would say, tomo, and then how many cursos you're taking. Okay, I'm going to explain all these, and then I will ask the questions and give you time to answer, okay? Then the next one, ¿cuáles materias tomas? Which classes are you taking? So you would say, for example, tomo las clases de historia, de inglés, de matemáticas, de arte, de español, okay? And then, ¿cuál clase te gusta más? Which class do you like the most? Me gusta más la clase de español, historia, inglés, whatever is your favorite class, okay? Finalmente, tenemos, ¿te gusta más estudiar en la escuela o en casa? Do you like studying more typically in school or at home? Me gusta más estudiar en casa, would be at home, and me gusta más estudiar en la escuela is I like to study more and in school. So I'm going to ask these questions, and you can pause by just hitting the pause button and answer them yourself. So first ask again is how many classes are you taking? Ready? So I'm going to ask you these questions and then just go to the next slide. Here we go. ¿Cuántas materias tomas? ¿Cuáles materias tomas? ¿Cuál clase te gusta más? ¿Te gusta más estudiar en la escuela o en casa? Bien, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so I love this video. This gal is from Colombia and she's married to this dude who's an American. Watch the video because she's trying to teach him Spanish and he's trying to say big numbers and he kind of struggles. They're just kind of funny. So watch the video and then when you're done, I want you to take a scratch piece of paper and write down A, B, C, D, E, F, and then write the following numbers. So you're going to write these numbers out and then check your answers on the following slide, okay? Now I'm going to just go. I'm in a bed, so there she is. Okay, I'm going to pass the next slide because it has the answers on it. And here we go. Here we go into the notes now. So could you take your packet? We're on page 11, página 11. All right, here we go. A star is often used with prepositions to tell location and adverbs to confer or to describe the condition or the emotion of a person or an object. So we're talking about a star, and remember the acronym PLACE that we used: position, location, action, condition, and emotion. Well, we're getting to the L, C, and the E here, okay? And by doing that, we're going to talk about these prepositions of location first. And here they are. I would like you to write these down in your notes when you get a chance. And add dentro means inside, okay? So you can pause and write them. There are, I'm going to read them really quickly. Al lado de is next to. A la derecha de, to the right of. A la izquierda de, to the left of. Allá means over there. Allí also means over there, but maybe just not as far. Cerca de, close. Con means with, and debajo de means below. And here are the rest of them. Delante de, in front of. Detrás de, behind. En, interestingly, it has dual meaning. It means in and on. Encima de means on top of. Entre means between. Lejos de means far from. Sin means without. And sobre means on or over. Interestingly, when I was studying in Spain a long time ago, I remember asking for water when I was at a restaurant. And they asked me if I wanted it con gas or sin gas. What they were saying, and I didn't understand the with gas, but they were asking if I wanted it with carbonation or without carbonation. Of course, it was more expensive, con gas. Okay. All right. And now this is kind of cool. I like this. Again, izquierda, here's the answers for these. Izquierda, derecha, delante, detrás, cerca y lejos y algo más, abajo, arriba, enfrente, encima, debajo, entre, al lado, y ya. And this is a little Spanish preposition song that you can use to go with this song. So when you're in Google Classroom, you can go into our slides and click on this. I'm going to just play it for you once, okay? Here we go. Hi, students. Go ahead and use this to help yourself prepare for the Spanish preposition song presentation that is due next class. So remember, it goes like this. This is my left hand, so you're going to be facing this way, okay? So it's izquierda, derecha, delante, detrás, cerca y lejos y algo más, abajo, arriba, enfrente, encima, debajo, entre, al lado y ya. Okay? Okay, so she goes through it a couple more times. See if I can get out of there, okay. What did I do wrong? That's okay. I'll get there. Oops. Okay. All right. So after that, I want you to go through and use that because we are practicing that in class to help us remember those prepositions of location. So I strongly suggest you practicing that as many times as you can to get to know those. All right, let's continue on to our notes now. There was an example at the bottom after those prepositions of place, And it says, I am to the left of the window. Estoy a la izquierda de la ventana. And then you are far, far from the school. Estás lejos de la escuela. So again, we're using forms of a star with our prepositions of place. Now let's talk about emotions or conditions of being. So things that can change. For example, how are you doing? We've already learned this. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy bien. Or estoy mal. Or you might have a crazy teacher. Está loca. Okay, it means crazy. Nervous is nervioso. Enfermo, sick. Cansado, tired. Triste, sad. Feliz, happy. Contento, happy, content, or okay. Limpio, clean. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say with emotions, but when you're talking about our dog or something like that, some things that can change, we can say limpio y sucio, and then aburrido if you're feeling bored. Okay. Examples again: estoy bien, estás cansado, el perro está sucio. So the ones that have A's on them, those are just, they can change depending on if what you're describing, like the teacher is crazy. Well, if it's a male teacher, está loco. But if it's a female teacher, está loca, right? If you want to say you're nervous and you're a guy, you would say estoy nervioso. If you're a chica, you would say estoy nerviosa. Okay, so those are the notes for that. All right, and is that it? Is that all we have? Looks like it. Okay, that's slide 19. Yep, okay. So your homework is actually, if we go back to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this slide. Hold on a second. El plan para hoy. Just give me one moment here. I got to move myself. There, okay. Bien. Okay, so there is a worksheet that you're going to complete, which is your homework. It's in a star worksheet, and you don't have this in your stuff. So if you can print it, that's great. There are two sides. If for some reason you don't have a printer, you're going to just have to write A, B, C, the sections, and then write down your answers. And that's how you're going to do your homework. And that is due for Monday. And that is it for your notes. Espero que tengas un buen fin de semana. I hope you have a wonderful, great weekend, and we'll talk to each other later. Hasta luego.